Hello， 大家早上好，我是猫猫，这是我昨天住的民宿。昨天在我们青旅，我游南美洲这么久以来，就是第一次遇到一个中国人，然后是在美国留学的，在这边遇到了他，报了一个那个叫全日旅游的，我就跟他一起报了。今天呢，就是要坐这个车去体验一下这个一日游。首先呢，在整个复活节岛所有的国家公园，你都需要买门票。这个门票的钱呢是一个年票，年票是差不多560块钱，10天之内你可以进入任何一个国家公园。在这儿就是一个买门票的地儿了。像这图上这些点呢，都是他们这里的国家公园，就是你必须要有当地的向导跟这个国家公园的门票，你才可以去这些点，不然你自己租个车，这些地方你都不能去，不能进去，都有保安守着的。看这个是小票，小票是根据你的护照买的，然后你去任何一个景点的话，你都要把你的护照号，然后跟这张票给人家显示，不然你就进不去。出发之前来瓶酒跟水，路上喝。我们这个团一共有3个人，3个人全讲中文，一个是马来西亚的华人，一个是上海人，还有一个是我湖南人，都懵了，没想到在这么远的一个地儿，结果组了个团，3个人都讲中文。
我住在香港。
我们现在是一路往着这个南部的海岸线走。How to say thank you and bye? Maululu. Maululu. Maululu is hello or bye? Thank you. How say hi?
It's Iorana.
Iorana.
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to stay here for 40 minutes more or less.
Okay.
So if you think you need water, bring it with you and the tickets, please. That's important.
Okay. 每个景点都有一个这种门口守着的，然后你要把你的护照跟证件给他。
This is a map of the island. We came from here, from Hangaroa, and we drove all this way, and now we stopped in Vaihu. This is the first place that we are going to visit. Then we're going to Akahanga along this road.
Okay.
Then we go to Ranodaraku, the quarry, and in this place we can find some toilets. Okay. Yeah, then we're going to Tongariki, the group of 15 restored moai, and then we finish here in Anakena. Okay. Yeah, and then 4 to 4:30 we come back this way, back to Hangaroa. Okay. And here in this place in Baihu, we are going to visit 2 sites. First, we're going down there to start telling you everything about the history of Rapa Nui, from where the people came from, why they came here, and then we go that way to visit a village. That village is a new village, but it's representing the way that the people lived a long time ago. But it's good to see this now on the beginning, because later we're going to see original villages, but only with remains of houses, remains of oven. But here we're going to see it's helpful to understand how the people lived. Okay? So let's go walking that way.
啊，下雨了，真的是天公不作美啊！我们现在到了第一站了，他开始跟我们讲。
So 4,000 years ago, more or less, we had people starting from Taiwan, sailing, navigating, crossing all the Pacific Ocean. What they did first, they started sailing from Taiwan, and they settled Micronesia first. And then some people continued navigating to Melanesia. They settled there, they stayed in that place. And after that, they continued going to what we call now Polynesia. Yeah? So we have Hawaii, Rapa Nui, and New Zealand. So from this area, they settled first Hawaii in the 4th century, more or less. Then they went to Rapa Nui, and from here more people continued going this way to settle finally New Zealand. That's the reason why some people call this area as an imaginary triangle. Yeah, can you see the 3 vertices here? So all the islands in this triangle belongs to Polynesia, except this part that belongs to French Polynesia, for example Tahiti, Marquesas Island. So Rapa Nui is here. And we know that Polynesian people came from this part of Asia. But when they settled Hawaii, the people stopped here in a small island called Hiva. So from Hiva, the oral tradition says that the king, our king Hotu Matua, sailed until he arrived to Rapa Nui. That was in the 7th century, 8th century. The exact year we don't know. So when Hotu Matua arrived, he landed by Anakena, and Anakena is that way.
Okay.
So he started dividing this area in different tribes. We know that they had in one moment 12 tribes, and where we are now here was a tribe living. So they were located along the coast, and the first thing that they started building was a platform that you see in front of us that is destroyed, and the name of the platform is Ahu. And on the beginning, the Ahu was used as a burial place. So that means that when any member of the family died, they burned their bodies in a crematorium, and then they put the bones in the platform. That's the reason why we can't get close, or why we can't step on the platform. Because if we go there and we remove some stones, we can find remains of bones. So all the tribes started doing the same thing. But in one moment, we estimate in the 10th century more or less, they decided to start honoring their ancestors. What do we do today at home when we lose somebody? We have a picture, we pray. In that moment, they started carving moai for representing the people that started dying, but only important people. Yeah, they have a social class very marked. They have the king for all the tribes, but then each tribe had different authorities. So when any important member of the family died, the rest of the family went to Ranoraraku, the quarry. In that place they found carvers, important carvers, and they asked them to make a moai for representing the man that died before. So they carved a moai. When the statue was finished, they transported the statue and they placed on the platform. But I have a question for you. Where do you think the moai was looking to? Inland or to the ocean?
To the ocean.
Ocean?
Yeah.
To the east.
Yeah. 99% of our moais were facing inland. Inland, exactly.
Inland. Why?
All the platforms were located very close to the ocean. Each moai that was coming from the volcano were placed like this, because that moai was protecting the families. And where the families were living, where we are going to see the village here.
Okay.
In the third place, we're going to see remains of villages. So the moai was not only a representation of a man, of an ancestor, at the same time was a protector. So when the statue was erected on the platform, the last part of this carving process, and the most important part, was when they carved the eye sockets and they put white coral eyes.
Yeah, they painted the eyes, use the white color.
Exactly. But the eye was not painted. The eyes comes from the coral, and coral is white. So they carved the coral, they made the shape of an eye, and they put it here. So once the moai had the eyes here, the statue started being alive, and at the same time started protecting all the families. So that's the only reason why they are all facing inland, except one group of moai that tomorrow in the morning we can see in a place called Ahu Akiri. Those are the only 7 moai facing to the ocean, but tomorrow I will tell you why.
现在我们到达的这个地方呢，是在17世纪到19世纪的时候。因为那个时候呀，在这个岛上就有很多个部落。一开始这些部落呢挺和平的，也不知道什么时候慢慢开始，这些部落之间呢就开始相互内卷。就是你建了一个摩艾石，你建了个3米的，我得建个4米的；你建4米的，我得建个5米的。这个岛上找到过最高的一个摩艾石呢，实际上是差不多7米高。然后呢，他们之间是什么样呢？就是相互斗殴。比如说我这个部落跟你这个部落，我赢了，我就把你的摩艾石全部放倒。那我就是这个权力比较大，所以你可以看到，就是我们现在看到第一个景点，这1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8个全部是放倒的。也就是说，他们曾经打仗，这个部落他们输了，所以摩艾石全被另外一个给放倒了。脸现在都是朝下的，看到没有？而且都裂开了。
looks very human. Which are the characteristics? For example, 1 or 2 meters high, a very round head, sometimes with a belly, sometimes with a beard, as the Rapa Nui people was in that moment. But then they changed a little bit the style of the statue. This one has legs. Yeah, we will see this type of moai today. But then they changed it to this style, a little bit bigger, like 2 meters, 3 meters, a very squared head and fat body. But then they started stylizing the statues, yeah, making them higher and higher, and very fine. If you see here, the heads are longer, the ears are longer too. You will see at the quarry this type of moai that is very fine and perfect. But you see that only in this part, in this stage of carving, they added to the moai the top knots, because they wanted to put a decoration, but at the same time they wanted to increase the height of the statues.
在这摩艾石前面呢，就有一个圈，这个圈就是他们当地人有任何的仪式、任何的活动，就所有人就会围坐在一个圈里面，然后开始起的活动。现在这些啊，全部被挡着了，因为你现在能看到的这里所有的东西，都是14、15世纪的时候，就那时候我们中国明代的时候的一些东西了。然后这个红色的呢，就是因为他们这边Rapa Nui 的人以前呢头上会有一个红色的装饰品，所以你可以看到这些红色的掉落的这个大石头呢，其实以前是装饰在这个摩艾石像头顶的一个东西。这边到处都有掉落的，起码掉落了有8个，就每个摩艾石像有一个。现在呢，导游要带我们去看一下，这边比较典型的当地的居住风格的房子，但不是几百年前的产物，是他们后来重新建的、新建的一些，但是是按照以前的风格去建的一个房子。就在前面，你看所有的基本上都是要有一个当地的导游带着你们，不然你们都不能进来。
What about this building? Do you think, can you see there the same boat but inverted, upside down? That is a typical house that Rapa Nui people used for living since they arrived until the 19th century. We call that house as Hare Paenga. Hare is house and Vaca is boat. So we see the shape of an inverted boat. We're built only with blocks of stones, as you can see there. But each stone has a little hole that the people carved with stone tools to put sticks there. So for the entrance, they put one stick and they cross it to the other side. And for the house, they did the same thing, putting each stick in here and crossing to the other side too. So once they had all the structure ready, they covered this with mats. So the entrance was only that one. The people had to go crawling inside. Don't think that Rapa Nui people were tiny. They were very big, but they used these houses only for sleeping. But the rest of the activities took place outside. This is open now just for you to go in.
大概就是他们以前住的就有一个这样的地方，然后他们管这个屋子叫船屋。但是他们以前的人是比较高的，像这里的拉帕路伊的人还挺高的，哎，感觉这个挺好玩，刚刚好够我的身高，挺好。然后他们进来呢，得从这儿就是慢慢的这种爬进来的。这个房子呢，也是按照他们就是沉船，就是他们的船的模样造的一个这种小屋子。哎呀，出来。然后现在导游带我们去看他们的厨房，就他们除了睡觉，然后所有的事都是在房子以外进行的。这就是他们的一个厨房，就是在这儿起个火，然后开始做饭。
From Polynesia, when Hotumatua was sailing, he brought with them bananas, that the same banana that we can see today, pumpkin. Yeah, they had 2 different pumpkins. This one. And this one that was very useful to collect the rainwater. They hollowed this and they collect the water inside. Okay. They also brought jam, or it's a kind of potato, it's a root. Yeah, but also they brought chickens and a Polynesian rat to eat. And here they found the fish. So we have in front of us this fire pit, yeah, that is called umupai. The people, how they really knew how to set the fire. So they set the fire there, then they put very porous little stones inside, and when the stones were very hot, they put on the stones different layers of food. When they finished putting these layers, they covered with soil and grass.
Same like Chiloé.
In Chiloé,
yeah, they cook same way.
Exactly, it's very similar.
Yeah.
But in Chiloé, that is the south of Chile, in Chiloé they added seafood.
Yeah, seafood, yeah? Then vegetable.
And the vegetables,
yeah,
exactly. But here they never found seafood, so those were the products or the food that they put it there. So finally, everything was cooked because of the heat that comes from the stones.
Yeah.
They never had ceramics to make bowls or jars or things like that, so it was difficult. That's the way that they only cooked by the heat of the stones. So when this was finished or cooked, they opened and they could eat everything. That is what we call here curanto or umu.
你可以看到这下后面这个有围起来的一个圈圈的是他们的厨房，然后呢，他们除了以前的人是在做饭的时候会用到这个厨房，像现在呀，他们有一些比较大型的活动，或者是那个新生儿的降临，或者是老人去世了，他们的家里人呢也会去外面，然后找一个这样的地方，然后挖个洞，也是做一个这种东西，然后来就做食物，就是告诉老天爷，哎，我们迎来了一个新的宝贝，我们家庭迎来新的宝贝，或者是我们有一个新的人去了天上，这种有趣的、有意思的习惯。我身后这儿有一个好大的洞，用他们的拉瓦石头，然后围起来的一个圈。这里面呢，就是他们以前的人种菜的地方，你看都是围起来的，因为怕一些动物啊把他们的菜吃掉，所以他们就要拿这些石头把这个一个一个围起来，用来保护他们种的南瓜呀、土豆呀。
A house and more is chicken. This is a hollowed chamber. That is one entrance, and there's another one over there. And during the day, the chickens could be outside, but during the night, when the chickens saw that was very dark, they went inside. They got inside, and then with a little stone, the people closed the door.
哇，他们挺聪明的，他们怎么让里边有一个这么大的空间去储存这些鸡呢？ How can they keep the space for the chick? Like,
well, there was a very small place inside. It's like a chamber. A chamber, it's a small place like this where the chicken could stay during the night. And for collecting the water, they carved these stones like a bowl, yeah, like a plate, and this is called a tajeta. And you can see that this rain probably was from 2 days ago, 3 days ago.
But this is for chicken to drink water.
For people too.
For OK 这也就是现在有人居住的这个，他们就拿这个围起来，然后里边就种菜、种玉米、南瓜，然后这就是他们的灶。这个灶呢，就是用来做米饭。你看，木头燃火，然后这油。Ciao。